I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man,
I'm just
that is a sad clown.
Proud of my address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3Omaha packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
I'll kick us off. So I'm really excited just to spend some time with this high impact man. Was a former site Q down at the Canyon. He's recently handed that off. I think you led the largest F3 Omaha workout ever. I think.
Holy cow! Wow.
and I know you're one of the most inspiring people that I know. The man with a smile always on his face. So Waffle House is who we've got on the show today. So Waffle, I just love seeing you, and you do always have a smile on your face. But I wonder if you would give us a little bit of history on the name, and how did you get connected with F3 Omaha in the first place? Do you remember? Did somebody EH you, or tell me that story?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, I remember it. I have a vivid memory of my own, but my EHer might have a totally different memory. You know, we remember the things we want to remember. And when it comes to trauma, I've heard that like when you're in a traumatic situation, like your memory is focused on certain things. You might not remember the same order as other people. So yeah, Mr. TC was my point of contact at the beginning. And I'd kind of been watching him all summer long. His tweets with F3, I was like, this guy has got off the edge. He's off the rails. And then he kept saying to me, where are you? You're not at F3. Where are you? You're not at F3. And then I'd like read the tweet and I'd be like, that's why I'm not there, because those guys are whack. So TC EH'd me. It took me a while to come around. And then there were, I did the whole naming thing. Holy crap. I don't remember who exactly was the site Q that day or the Q, but I do remember that Hard Hat was with me. And he and I have kind of like bonded over that because we were F&Gs together. So my name came out of the fact that I didn't trust anybody in the group. And they were talking about how all these movie characters and things, eventually I was like, where would I normally be right now on a Saturday morning? I was like eating breakfast. So I screamed it out. I love breakfast. And it might have been Tonight Show or somebody else. Then they came up with the Waffle House. Oh boy, but then I learned what Waffle House really meant. And I was like, I was proud.
I remember that. I was there, and I remember, I feel like you said something like, I don't really work out, but I love breakfast. And it was like, okay, Waffle House is the guy. And I remember pretty vividly several workouts that you cued. There was I can't remember what you called it, but the watermelon, and then tent pole leadership was another one that you led. But can you explain to us the watermelon? Give us that COT. What high level? What was that COT? Do you remember the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, like I said, traumatic events bring back different memories for others. But basically, the whole stick was back to the cold of the maze, I think. And what was the worst thing about that day? It was cold. And so what was the favorite thing about the summertime for me is the watermelons, right? A childhood memory. Phil did not work out around it. But one time I heard this musician say this, and I always remembered it. And so that was the idea that when you're talking to people, a lot of times, you know, you start with the weather, you might like end up complimenting each other, you might, you know, get down into your family, and then eventually you get down into their heart, right? Where you're really one in one with each other. And the musician, you know, said that he wants his song to do the same thing, to have a conversation with another. And then it's the heart of the watermelon, you know. And if you've ever had like that experience on a hot day of opening up a watermelon, and in the middle it's just so gushy and sweet, and it's like otherworldly, right? And that's the heart of the watermelon. Of course, our man, what's his name, Tater Tot. When I said that, I just thought that he was gonna like bounce away into the snow. He seemed so happy. But I wish I could take credit for it. I should look up who that was that said that before. But it was the heart of the watermelon, and I love that visual, and because it's something that I remember, right? I remember that experience in the hot sun. We used to go to these like fish fries, and like when you're, I don't know, 8 years old and people are giving you fish, it's like, this is no good. And then there's like lumpy potato salad, and it's like, this is no good. But then there's the watermelon. I just remember it's like, this I love. And so I connected to it on a lot of levels. But I think that's the thing about CLTs is like, you just talk about what you love, right? Or something that you connect to, and you don't worry about it. Someone else, you know, might like it, someone else might not like it. But if you talk about what you're passionate about, then I think that honesty will come through.
So then the other one I was going to ask you about so this is a concept, and I don't know if you heard this from F3 or not, but it is sort of an F3 concept that OBT and Dread talk about. But you did a COT really early on about tent pole leadership. So tell us that one. What's that? What does that concept mean?
Yeah, and actually I recycled that since then. And my main man side dish at the Canyon was part of that tent pole leadership. The way I understand it, and those guys would probably correct me, but the idea is that when you have more than one in a group, there's always going to be some that are stronger than others, right? And there's going to be personalities that act differently than others. Some people, you know, are the lone wolves. Some people are the bat flippers, and then there's some people who just want to be there in the middle somewhere. But when you're leading a group of men, you have to kind of like read that group first, and during the whole workout, and then kind of push that tent pole from the center of the tent towards the ones that need the help the most, or pull it back to the ones that need to be leading at that time. And then have as a leader, you know, have the capacity to realize when someone's shifting out of that, maybe the lone wolf role where they just want to be doing it themselves, and they're shifting over to being maybe more of a bat flipper where they want to like take charge of the thing. And so there's that complexity, that all that can happen within, you know, the warm-a-rama even, because people get engaged, you know, at different levels. So, but that's the idea, is like you're aware of who's around you, and you move that tent pole towards the people who need it the help the most. And I when I read that, and then I listened to the podcast about it, it just really connected to me. It's like I've been in the situation where people have pulled me up, where leaders have like reached out and helped me move from one state to the other. So I appreciated it a lot.
Yeah. What I think is so cool about that too is and I remember this from your COT, because you actually had us put our hands sort of in the middle and stretch out, and there's this reality that F3, the tent of F3 is big enough for all those different types of guys, that it actually requires all those different types of guys to hold up the tent. And I just remember realizing that, like, some people are coming for the workout, some people are coming just to be a part of the group, and some people still don't know why they're coming back, but ultimately there's room for all of those guys. And as guys change on that continuum, like you were saying, there's still room as you grow and change and accelerate. So I love that model. That, I know a lot of guys know you, and they know maybe a little bit of your story. And I certainly remember, the kind of the day and events surrounding some of that. I don't know if you'd be comfortable sharing kind of you started F3, and maybe what kind of significant event has happened, since then that has kind of come to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a true journey for me. Like, I remember at the beginning, when I was trying to figure out whether I really wanted to be part of the F3 or not, there were some some of those COTs that made me really interested. It wasn't the working out, it was the COTs. And it was the vulnerability. Like, the Nodos did one, I remember, and he just laid it out there, and it's like, man, I've never seen this anywhere, ever. Like, I was trying to remember, when did I see a guy do that I'd never known before? He's just talking to me personally, and I don't even know him. And so it was kind of like that. And then I thought, well, I could make another couple workouts. So I tried to go maybe once a week, and then it was once to every site. I tried to do that. Eventually I was like, okay, wait time kept handing me the flag at the end of the workout. You're going to be there, right? You take the flag. And so that was a little trick. It's like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to be there, right? So I'm kind of passing that on. What the heck? Then I knew I had to, like, be Q. I just knew it. So the first time I got my Q was out of town. It was actually in Denver. It just was coincidence. And so I had no idea where I was going, no idea who was going to be there, but it all worked out fine, right? It just did. And those themes for the Q are all, you just try to be as clever as you can, but mostly it's about the COTs, I think, So that was quite an adventure that first year. And then it really was important to me to, like, work out in the cold. And I think there was a few core guys that first year that I was in part of it, that, like, it was important to them to, like, make all those cold days where it was, like, in Nebraska, super cold in the wintertime. And that's when I really fell in love with the maze, just standing out there with nothing but snow, baby.
I remember the one we did, and I feel like you had something on your phone, and maybe it was you or Ethanol, and to like move the thing on your phone, you were using your nose, or and we were bear crawling around that parking lot at the maze, and like the tent pole leadership thing, and I think what's so fascinating to me is how you were able to work. You kind of worked your COT into the workout, right? Like the design of the workout would always be like there was one where we locked arms and we're lunging, and I remember you leading us in that, and we were all kind of looking at each other like, what is he having us do this time, And but it all tied in really well together,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was amazing. But so
Those are
oh,
those
go
are
ahead.
good memories. The problem I have now is like, I'm not like daily going to workouts because my life's changed a little bit since then, and so I'm not like making those memories. Uh, and I got to get back to that somehow, some way. I know I will, but like the reason I kind of changed my whole MO on F3 was I had this accident, so I'm in a wheelchair now. My spine's broken. Oh, it's like it's changed everything. But I'm able to get around really well, and I'm really very, very fortunate with the care I got. Very, very fortunate with the sort of support network that I have, and F3's been, a big part of that. Not only for me, but for my family. My wife, especially, really didn't realize how significant of a powerful group you guys were until I was in the hospital and you guys were calling her up, texting her. Family and friends were reaching out to my wife. You That was really amazing, and that's like sort of transformed the group on another level again for me. It's like, okay, so it's this personal connection, then it became family connection, you know and that's been super exciting for me. I miss working out with the burpees. I hate to tell you this, Flag, but my
Oh, I love it.
my burpee form is really, really bad. Like the jump, it's just I never leave the ground. So, and I know I've called you out once or twice just to show me a burpee during a workout. That's just
Yeah.
like I just want to remember what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. And I think I remember that day, right? We were going on a taco ride. And I remember being with some of the other guys there waiting for you,
Oh,
and we were like, well, where's Waffle House at? It was kind of like, well, maybe he couldn't get off of work or whatever. I think we tried maybe to get a hold of you, and then the next morning we get this news that you had an accident, and it is such a brotherhood. I remember just that feeling. Your heart just sinks when somebody that you're really close to has gone through something like that. But when I see you today, you're the happiest that I've ever seen you. And I don't know, I can't comprehend. Like I know God has a plan for all of us, and I just think of all the people that could have happened to, the way you've handled it, the way you've been able to just continue to spread joy, has been really amazing. And I think, like you mentioned for Connie and for your family, and I just think you're a F3 Omaha staple. You're what we're all about, is how do we just build guys that can, whatever life throws at you, you can go through that successfully with a strong group around you. But I wonder, and you've also been the most publicized. You've been in the paper a lot. You were just recently in the newspaper. I don't know, if how that worked out for you, but tell me, you think about the three F's, so fitness, fellowship, and faith, and I'm curious, where do you see yourself at on those three F's? How do you think you're doing there?
I feel super fortunate that I can exercise still. And so on the fitness side, I do a lot of independent stuff now. It's not with the group. And it just is because it's simpler that way. But I've got these strategies, and TC's helping me figure it out. So eventually we'll be back in the mix a little more. The faith part, like I said, those COTs are just like it's I always felt like one of the reasons I would, go to church was to like feel humble. One of the reasons I go to church is to help me understand where I was at in the world. But it's that idea of vulnerability. And that's with F3, after you work out, you're physically vulnerable. And then you go to that emotional vulnerability. And like I said it earlier, that's like what's really hooked me on F3. It's like just seeing someone I respect lay it out there and be vulnerable is super inspiring. Like it makes me want to support them. It makes me want to help them. It makes me want to be more like them. I just love that part of it. That's like when I talk about F3 to my friends, that's what I always talk about. My non-F3 friends, those EATs. The fellowship thing, I really enjoy going to the events we have, and I can see how our foundation is just amazing, and it's just a way to, like, it's such a simple way to participate. It's like you make voting easy or something. You join the group and then all of a sudden you're doing these things that help out the community. And the cool thing about it is like all the creative ways that guys have figured it out, right? Like even that I'm skinny as a rail, but that Queen service thing, all those funds go to a charity, right? It's just crazy how creative people can get. That's like another, like, wow, you put your heads together, and that's pretty amazing. So I appreciate all those. But yeah, that's kind of on the 3Fs what I've thought about here lately.
I love what you mentioned about how it just as time goes on, it sort of is designed to make all of those things easier, right? Like you just naturally progress because you've got those guys around you that are constantly pushing it to accelerate. I love that. Something that I was just reflecting on, you were there when we first started doing essentially Q-Source, right after Paradise Island. And I remember you actually leading one of those, and I don't know if you know this or not, but we still have this. So what we used to do is we would have, before F3 Nation had put out the Q-Source content, we would just have our own discussions, and I would ask different guys to lead, and you had led a discussion about goals. And then I would do a recap on my way out to the maze on Thursday in my car. It was a super low budget sort of podcast thing. And we still have that. So my summary of your discussion on goals is still out there on the podcast, and it is the most listened to episode that we have. So I don't know if you know that, but I don't know. What's your take on goals today? How are you establishing goals or coming up with direction for life today? Have things changed in the last couple of years? Or
that's interesting. I love that. I remember, well, the super thing about that is like you see someone who has a passion, and it makes you want to have a passion. Maybe not the same thing, right? But I'll just bounce that right back at you, Mr. Plague, because I saw the sort of like just blind fury that you had. Is like, I'm making a podcast. I was like, what is he crazy? Aren't you supposed to be driving right now? It's like, no, I can do it. I can squeeze it in no matter what. And your passion, inspired me at that time. But now, like, seeing other people's passions, like really inspire me too. And I think it's Sparty, right? Who did the foundation, like
Yeah.
that was just, he just went way above and beyond on that. And I just like really appreciate that. So I look for F3 to like help me, motivate me, period. And seeing what other guys are doing creates that passion in me. So personal goals like are just so infinitely small. I just try to be as in the moment as possible right now. I've F3 helped me like figure out how small a person I really am. I know we talk a lot about like how your personality can affect others, I talked to another person with a spinal cord injury, and he told me that it was kind of like being an astronaut. Like, to be an astronaut, you gotta be at the top of your game, right? But then you go up in space, that's like you gotta be the one. It's not like that at all. An astronaut has hundreds of thousands of people building on them and supporting them. And yeah, they're making the decisions at the end, but those decisions are supported by all these other networks of people. And you're vulnerable when you're out in space, but if you kind of are carried on by your crew, amazing things can happen. And that's how I think of my relationship with F3 right now, really, because especially since I don't have that daily burpee plague misery.
Yeah. What?
I remember one time you told us we were gonna, you like had this whole strategies like run there, jump here, run there, jump here, and then at the end he says, and in 15 minutes we'll have done 200 burpees, and I'm like, why am I with the plague right now?
Yeah, who let this guy lead? Oh, that's funny. I love the astronaut analogy. I think that's really good. I'm curious your thoughts on just how, well, I have two questions. I think, talk to me about maybe a change in perspective that you've gone through. And then I've got to know, like, how have there been moments of frustration, or have you just always been happy, or how do you do that? How do you, despite everything you've gone through, still put a smile on? And often when I see you on Zoom a lot these days, or have in the last year. Every time I see you, I say, "How are you doing?" And you say, "I've never been better." And when I leave my time with you, I'm always like just uplifted. I don't know. Tell me, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. I think about myself going through a similar situation, and I don't know if I would be able to be as strong as you are. Right.
Well, there's a couple of the components to that. It's like, and in the end, my injury was very traumatic, but I'm a healthy person, and so people who have like, more complicated health issues, I think if it was a more complicated health issue like cancer or something, I might feel totally different. But this is just simple. Like, I can't walk, period. Other than that, I feel very healthy. And so, like, in the injury itself, you helped me sort of understand that a lot of people have a lot more complex problems than I do right now. And so it helped me really appreciate that. Healthcare, is like a foreign world to me, and I never really spent much time in healthcare before my injury. And so that was another like eye opener. It's like, holy cow, you guys are really smart. And it's not just like the neurosurgeons that's smart, it's even like the techie guys in the back room who are making it all fit together. You guys are just super smart. So like that gave me another appreciation. So in some ways, like my injury like just opened up a new world for me in terms of like showing empathy to others, and being able to relate to them, and also like just appreciating those around me. And so yeah, I don't understand my own thoughts very often, but I've always been kind of a glass half full sort of person. And again, like I don't really feel a lot of control over that. I can manage it as best I can, but I know a lot of people do struggle with their personal demons. They do struggle with depression, and it's a real thing. And I feel very blessed to not have that as part of this injury, or even before during my life. And so, like, in some ways, flipping off the front of my bike was just like a slap in the face. It's like, hey, look at all the blessings you have, and appreciate those. And so that's kind of the wave I've been riding on for the last 2 years. I think that's where I'm at.
I do, you've had a couple different articles or publications, but one of the ones I remember, because now you're Googleable, right? You can Google Doug White and see stories about it. But one of the headlines that I is out there is just Omaha man defines himself by hope, not by paralysis. Where do you get that hope? Where does that come from for you today?
I think just again, my support network is so bold and strong. I always have somebody I can look at. I used to like rely on my brother, my blood brother. It's like it's just me and him, we're gonna make it in the world or whatever it is. But now I feel like I have like an infinite number of brothers, and so that gives me hope. The sort of like there is this other component of my injury is like it makes me want to like stand up to it, kind of. It's something that I feel like, oh, I can figure this out. Every day there's always one little challenge that I've never done before. It's like I can do this. And so I think that gives me hope too, even from the injury itself. So those are a couple of things. Of course, my family is the reason for being. They give me so much love and support as well. So
that's awesome. What we like to kind of get insight from guys. So you just celebrated your 3-year anniversary, right?
Yesterday, I think, according to Hard Hat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if in that 3 years, maybe it's changed over time, but and you kind of mentioned the COTs keeping you engaged, but what sort of advice or insight, because you mentioned even having some apprehension yourself when you first started, what would you tell a new guy showing up, or maybe even just a guy who's in F3Omaha in general? What sort of advice or encouragement would you give to other guys out there that might be struggling?
Right. I think that I have struggles too, right? We keep talking about how happy and the sort of outward face I have. Of course, we all have struggles, right? But I think when it comes to being an F3, the beauty of it is there's always somebody who is there to help you if you're like the one who gets picked up, or there's someone you can circle back and pick up. When we say pick up the 6, I mean, there's always that range of people, and no matter how bad your day is or how much anxiety you have about, going to work that day or whatever your daily challenge is. You can kind of count on that you're either there to help someone or there's someone to help you. And I think that that's a great way to start your day. I love that. One of the things I like about the FNGs and the new people is like you get introduced to a whole new world every week, really. That's been my experience at F3Omaha. It's like there's people coming on weekly or even more often, and it's like you learn so much about the people around you. And even that, is like it's a way to be motivated, be connected. I really appreciate that. And then you get to see those guys grow, and most of them, are gonna like surpass you eventually. A lot of, and you get to kind of cheer them on at the beginning, and then realize, they're gonna kick my butt. And then it's like, okay, bye, I'll see you later. And so I've had that experience with a lot of the F3 guys. It's like I could never like maybe keep up with some of them, but that sort of transformation that you see in others, it's like when I'm feeling down about myself, it's like, well, I know they're transforming. I can see it. They're beating me today. It's like, but I'm transforming too. I just have to remember that too. And that's what the workouts are about. So I don't know if that answered your question at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. I think it is interesting, just hearing you and your perspective. You're very others focused, and I think that's something different that I notice in you that a lot of us struggle with, is how do I enter into the day and not be so focused on myself and my needs and my whatever my struggles, whatever it might be, and really be more outwardly focused, and be thinking about other people. I know something I enjoy is hearing. We've kind of started this thing where a guy at their COT on their maybe 1 year anniversary will tell why they like F3, or maybe it's on their VQ. They'll say, here's why I keep coming back, and here's what I've learned. And you're absolutely right. You hear these amazing stories of just pure transformation that you really don't get anywhere else. I haven't found anywhere else. So I love that others focused perspective. You've had a tremendous impact on me, and I think so many guys in F3, and I think this for me is just one of those moments where looking back and seeing where we are now, there's been so much growth in the group, and I think a lot of that early growth, I attribute to guys like you that just stuck with it, even though we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't know what wait time was up to or where we were going to go, and at the time we had maybe 4 or 5 sites, and now we've got 36 or something like that, and it just it's just amazing to see where we're at today. But I do want to respect your time, so I'll take us out in a little name-orama, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Brandon Flehardy, 35, The Plague.
Doug White, 54. Today is my birthday.
No way! Oh, man.
Waffle House.
Oh, Waffle House respect, man. Happy birthday. Holy cow. We should have started with that. We should sing. You want me to sing now? No, you don't want me to sing.
No, I don't want you. Not again, please. Not again.
Are you doing anything special to celebrate?
A family. Tonight's family time. Yeah. Nothing special. A little salsa, margarita, maybe.
There you go. Oh, well, this is perfect. Well, I'm grateful for you, and I was glad I got to spend time with you on your birthday. Happy birthday, man. Hey, have a good night. It was nice to see you.
Oh, you too. Keep up the good work. I really appreciate it. I wish I could tell you more.
All right. We'll see you out there in the gloom.
Yeah. Aye.
Bye.